Welcome back to Rich Words Music, where today we're back on the Harley Benton train. This guitar, of course, is the Harley Benton DC Junior Fat in limited edition Ferris Blue, and I wanted to talk to the man whose name is on this guitar. No, I couldn't get Harley Benton on the phone, he's busy on a windsurfing holiday or something, but I got Andy Ferris, which is the next best thing. Andy, of course, is the Guitar Geek. He's worked with Thomann and he helped spec this guitar, and of course this unique finish bears his name. So it's almost a signature guitar in a way. Or is it? That's just one of the many questions I wanted to ask Andy after reviewing and playing this guitar, and I've also taken some of the questions that you guys asked and some of the questions I found on the internet, and this is a little bit of a nice exclusive where Andy answers questions which he's never answered anywhere else. So go and make a cup of tea, sit back, relax, and enjoy this little chat with Mr. Ferris Blue himself. Welcome back to Rich Words Music, and today I am delighted to be joined by Mr. Andy Ferris, the Guitar Geek.
Hello, Rich.
Yay, it's great to have you on, but this is no normal interview. Andy Ferris, ladies and gentlemen, is hot right now. And this, the DC Junior Fat in Ferris Blue, Andy's namesake.
I think you mean this.
That's exactly what I mean. This guitar is hot right now. Now, I've gone and got a very exclusive interview today. There's nothing else with Andy about this. Premier Guitar couldn't do it. Guitar World, Guitar.com, Music Radar, nope. Ultimate Guitar, Guitar and Bass, Jazz Times, Oprah, the Thomann, the Harley Benton YouTube channels, and even Gloucestershire Live could not manage to secure an interview with you about this guitar. So tell me, Andy Ferris, in your own words, how did this come about?
The original DC Junior from Harley Benton existed back about this time last year, in fact. Maybe earlier, and I reviewed it whilst at Thomann, and I said it's very nice for the money, it's a great guitar. I compared it against a Maybach, and I compared it against a Gibson, the same shape. The Gibson was, of course, much better. Well, not much better. It was better, but it was, I think, 4 times the price. But I did say about the Harley Benton, the neck's too thin, it's a bit weak in the pickup. You know, I want more aggression, more grunt, more rock and roll. And so Harley Benton called me and said, you know that you like that yellow one? I said, yes. He said, well, what if we did one that was with the specs that you mentioned? So then we brought out the DC Junior Fat in red, cherry red.
Yeah.
That was nice. Lovely open pore finish, really beautiful guitar, but very vanilla in the sense that it was what's to be expected from that guitar. And in all fairness, at the price point, when you have those guitars, you kind of have to go vanilla so people buy them. Or not. Because then what they tried to do a Pelham blue one in the factory, and somehow they got it wrong. And it ended up this colour. And I said, I really like that colour. And they said, well, I know, why don't we release it? Because we've got a load of them, and we'll call it Ferris Blue. And so I said, okay, let me check it out. I checked it out, and I actually prefer it to the red one in the beginning. I think they stepped up their game a little bit. So they produced 250, limited edition, and then they accidentally, I don't know where the story goes from there, but either they found another 200 or they accidentally made 450 in the first place.
Or they realised that you'd sold 250 within a week and thought they could make some more.
It's definitely not that, because I knew that they were coming out before the video that I made came out.
Yeah.
Or the day after. No, the day after. So when I released my video to say, hey, look at this guitar, that's when they called me and said, oops, there's not actually 250, there's about 450.
So they genuinely are limited then?
Yes. If... to be diplomatic, if any more were to be released, I wouldn't be best pleased, because they've said it's limited, so people have bought them, especially the first 250, thinking they're limited, which they are.
Yeah.
So I think it's wrong to say something's limited and then make more when you realise they're selling.
Yep, I would agree. But capitalism.
But I believe that's the end. However, you never know what might happen in a different colour. Exclusive.
Wow. We'll move on to that. But is this genuinely a signature guitar?
No. Goodness no. As a YouTuber and fairly independent, in the sense that I have freelanced for Thomann, over the past few years, and I'm very much associated with Thomann, which is, of course, Harley Benton is the house brand of Thomann. I won't allow myself, and neither am I allowed, by Thomann or by myself, to have a signature instrument, because it biases me more than I already am. So my whole channel, the reason I started my channel is because I was tired of watching guitar channels that seemed to be less honest than they were. In the sense that every week there was the new best overdrive, the new best amp, the new best thing. So when I began my channel, it was based on honesty and integrity. And if I go and have a signature guitar, I'm really challenging people's belief in me and my ability to stay independent. So no, it's not a signature guitar, and also it's not exactly how I would have it. I did make a few changes for the mass public.
Well, that would have been my next question. Were you to be speccing a genuine signature guitar, how different would it have been?
Well, firstly, the colour, as I said, was an accident. So let's just take the fact that it's a fat, so you can still get the red one as well. I would have the neck even fatter.
The neck on the website is mentioned as a 50s neck, which I assume means late 50s, big G sort of profile, baseball bat. But I believe for you it's not enough. They haven't gone far enough with it, have they?
It's a 59, based on a big G 59.
Big G 59.
And I prefer a 58. So I have a Gibson R8, for example. That company begins with G, and that's a really big fat neck. I have a Maybach just there. Hang on a second. This is the Maybach Leicester 59, which for some reason is bigger than the 59 on that. So I think we're talking juniors. And as juniors were student guitars, they tended to, I don't know my facts here very well, but I'm guessing they changed around for students and small hand people, children.
Exactly,
and,
yeah.
But the 58, and I've had the joy of playing some late 50s big G juniors, huge, absolutely huge, and that's what I would definitely put on.
But if you were to spec up a guitar from nothing, would it still be single cut, mahogany body, ebony fretboard, that kind of stuff?
Well, that's a good question, Rich. And this is another reason I can't have a signature guitar, is because I'm pretty flip-floppy, which is a very official word for I like different things for different things. And if I were to spec a signature guitar, it probably would be double cut. So I'm really into the SG, you know, the guitar from the big G.
The solid guitar.
The solid guitar.
It was named for, yeah.
Thank you. But then in the same breath and same synapse, I'm thinking I also love Telecasters and Strats. Due to the nature of what I do for my job, I love guitars. So I'm lucky enough to have a collection of guitars, and to have a signature guitar would kind of imply that I prefer one. And that's not the case, sadly. You know,
no.
So I don't think I'm answering your question, because I'd have to have a signature range.
No, it's like talking to a politician. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
No, but I understand what you're saying. From the one hand, you want to be objective because you have your own YouTube channel, because you work for certain business interests, and from the other side of it, you play a wide variety of musical genres. One guitar will not do everything that you want them to do.
Yeah, and it's also my mood. This week, my Telly is my favourite guitar, and it's a beautiful guitar. But last week it was the Maybach Albatross, and then the week before that it was the Harley Benton. I think I'm not sure on the dates, but it'll go back around. It'll come back around, and I'll just pick one up, and then it'll be the Ibanez AZ, and then I'm like, okay, this guitar this week. So it's really, and what I do is for my channel, there's the wall that people normally see. I do move the guitars around a lot. So you get to see different things at different weeks. And that helps me display different guitars and therefore change what I would normally use in a video.
How has the reaction from your Guitar Geek fans been to this guitar?
Positive, firstly. So the whole thing has been positive, mostly. You know, it's the internet, it's YouTube, nothing's wholly positive. and the less positive ones are often louder than the positive ones. But let's move on from that. Some people were like, "This is amazing, Andy, you've made it. You know, it was brilliant. Congratulations." Whereas I don't think I really did much. You know, I just gave some advice and agreed to put the name on it. And that being said, Rich, if it was a guitar I didn't like, there's no way I would have gone anywhere near it. Back to that integrity thing. So I do love the double cut juniors. It's one of my favorite things. It's so simple, it's so rock and roll. So that's the integrity thing again. If it was just like just a Strat or just a telecopy or something, and do you want to put your name on it? No. But the fans is a weird word. The people that watch my channel, the viewers, very supportive. A few bought them straight off. Without even knowing anything about the guitar. Some of them agreed. It was just so positive, and the color is so striking that people were like, "Wow, that's a beautiful color." So yeah.
I bought one, and you only have to threaten me about 2 or 3 times over Facebook Messenger to do it. It was that easy.
You bought 7, don't lie.
I sent 1 back, so I've only got 6 now, but it's all good. So let's go back to the standard cherry red model before. You said in the video review that you did of the Ferris Blue one that you think it's better. Why?
Because the one that both of the ones that I have are the prototypes. Okay, so they're the number 1, I guess. This one, I'll bring it up again. I normally put the finish on the red one is so good. It's open pore, and it feels like nitro, and it isn't. But it's really thin. However, when I picked this up, it just felt better, which really surprised me because I would think it would be sticky. They've redesigned the pickup dog ear cover. I think they've just paid more attention to detail. I think they've learned from that first batch. And even though it's my job to describe why one is better than the other, I feel that it's more, it's a feel thing more than anything. And putting the one model, and being a low-priced budget guitar, putting 2 guitars up against each other, it can be such a spectrum of quality and of sound and weight and all those things. Because with the lower-priced guitars, there's not such a narrow field of I don't want to say margin of error, but they can be vastly different.
Yep.
So I don't know if as a range this one is better than the red one, but this one is better than the red one that I have in the other room. I don't know if that's an answer, but I can tell you that this particular guitar is better.
No,
it's hard to say. It's hard to say, and I know that I accidentally left that out of my video. I should have said exactly what I've just said there, but I'm human.
One of the most asked questions actually pertains to this pickup, the dog-eared pickup. And you did just mention the fact that had been altered for the Ferris Blue version. They changed the design of it. And people on my YouTube have been asking me, to what extent can they alter the pole pieces of the pickup? Can they raise and can they lower it? That kind of stuff. Because the design on the outside, it has these kind of little lumps where the screws are. Is there any significance behind that?
I don't know.
Good.
I'd like to say that was a joke, but it really isn't. I'm not going to say they altered it for the Ferris Blue, but they altered it. So as far as I know, this is also what they use on the red.
No, it looks different. The red one looks different. I checked it when I was at Thomann, yep.
But the ones in the shop could even be different to the ones that you get in the warehouse.
That's really confusing, isn't it?
Harley Benton has a reputation of changing things, and it's
making improvements.
Exactly.
Yes.
I don't know is the honest answer, Rich. I do know that I've taken that out because I have received a pickup from a guy called Chris Ruberzahl, which is I think beetroot in English. He makes pickups, and he's given me a 60k pickup. 60. 60. P90. So in researching to see if there was enough space, because it's super huge, and it's got 5 kilometers of wire on it, I believe. I looked inside to make sure that there was enough space for this super huge new pickup, and it is just 2 stacked P90s. The way to raise a dog ear pickup that I would recommend is, sadly, to get some 3D printed frames to go around it. So there is no real pretty way to do it on a dog ear. You can push those through ever so slightly. You can, of course, unscrew them. The best way, in my opinion, is to get a frame that sits. So you would take the pickup cover off and then set a frame underneath the pickup cover and screw them back in so it actually sits up higher. Or put some spacers in there. But now in the world of 3D printers, that's definitely the best way.
Okay, yeah, so there you go for the people asking. Get some 3D printers.
I'm so
that
sorry.
Will be no doubt far cheaper than buying another guitar which has a more easy to adjust pickup.
But that's the nature. That's the nature of dog ear pickups.
It's the nature of dog ear pickups, and it's the nature of juniors, isn't it?
Yeah,
they are what they are. Rock and roll machines. That's it. Yeah.
And on the blue one, I think the angle's different. It feels different. Like there's more space on the red one, so you get lower output.
Yeah.
Again, we're talking guitars that may not be the same when you put 2 red ones next to each other and 2 blue ones.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I can't guarantee that what you've got in your hands is what I've got in my hands. It's not the case.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right. I guess one thing that should be identical though is the pickup itself. They should be wound to identical specifications. You mentioned that the cherry red one sounds a bit darker to your ears, and of course that, there's other factors that could influence that. But tell me about the pickup in these guitars anyway. Why did you want to have this stacked P90?
When we were deciding on the specs, I said I wanted a bigger, more rock and roll sound. It had to be angry. It had to be more aggressive. And it just so happens that they were developing a stacked P90, or as Gibson call it, the P100. And they said, well, why don't we put that in there? And it'll be coil splittable, or you can split the two P90s and get the P90 sound, kind of. But with the P100, you'd have a much more higher output, and it will be slightly hum cancelling, because it is, for all intents and purposes, a humbucker.
Yeah.
Just stacked, not side by side as we're normally used to. And I said, sure. And I listened to some examples, because not only did they borrow the shape from another manufacturer with a big G in it, they borrowed a pickup design from a company, that begins with S and has a D in it. Yeah, that's what you're getting. You're getting a homage to a certain pickup by another certain company, and I like that sound. So on the basis of hearing the real version, the Seymour Duncan version, yeah, I said go for it, because it's fat, and the whole point was it should be fat. And actually, the name fat comes from the pickup, not from the fatter neck.
Really?
Really, that's.
I believe I was watching a video on the Harley Benton channel where the very handsome presenter said the opposite.
Who are you going to believe, Rich?
Let's move on. Which of the 2 pickup modes do you prefer then? Tone knob up or tone knob down, and why?
Most of the time, P100. Mm-hmm. So tone knob down in full stacked mode, because I forget that it's stacked. Quite honestly, I'm a very reactive player, so I'm playing through some pedals, I'm checking out an amp, I'm checking out something, and then I remember, oh, wait a minute, pop it out, and it's a P90. So if I'm demoing the guitar, yeah, of course I'm going to switch between the 2 modes and check those 2 modes out and maybe have a preference. But if I'm playing a pedal or an amp, I'm tailoring everything else for that pedal, or at least experimenting, then trying to find my preferred sound. So if I'm doing something, it's a 1 pickup guitar, quite obviously. You've got tone and you've got the splittable coil. It depends what it's called for. And also, I'm such a doofus, heavy-handed player that if I do have it in P90 mode, I tend to knock it into P100 mode.
Wow, you are a heavy player. I've not done that yet, and I'm quite hack-handed.
Yeah, a hack-handed, yeah. So it is way out there out of the way, but I might just hold the guitar and, whoops, it's gone into there. So
yeah.
So I really enjoy the fact that you can pop that out. But if I were to have a signature guitar, I would not have that, for example, because it wouldn't be good for me.
You're personally not a fan of popping it out on demand?
No, I'd rather leave it in until I'm really thinking about popping it out. If I do pop it out, it has to be a very special occasion.
I mean, yeah, you've got to save popping it out for those real special moments in life, let's say. Exactly. So when it comes to popping it out or not, pickup sounds, were you inspired by any specific real life guitar players? Were you trying to get a sound from a favorite artist or player or anything like that?
No.
No?
I'm inspired by several different sounds, and they kind of feature in the demo that I did. So there's a little bit of the Clash in there. There's that really attacky kind of junior sound. But then there's this, I don't even know who the player is. It's more of a sound. It's more of a bluesy sound. So I think that what I wanted from this guitar was to go from blues with the tone rolled off and a little bit less output, so the P90 mode, into stacked 100, tone all the way up, very attack, up the neck, sort of bar chords. I don't consider it to be a solo kind of guitar. So I'm not really a solo player anyway, but I'd play it mainly bar chords and some bluesy pentatonic stuff up to about the 12th fret. From then on, it just gets dusty, and I'm not really interested. The
money's all down at the other end anyway, isn't it?
Yeah, no money past the 3rd fret, isn't it? Or 5th fret? I can't remember.
I think it's 3rd. I think that's what Ed Sheeran said, and I'll go with whatever he says.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Ed. But to answer your question fully, no, there's no sound artist I particularly wanted. I just wanted to cover that junior sound, that rock and roll. It had to be rock and roll, but also bluesy.
Yeah, and I have to say, to be serious for a moment, that this does do that thing. For me, it's 100% authentic. Yeah.
That's good to hear. Yeah, I'm glad you're happy.
Yeah. So thinking about the future then, you've already kind of teased us a little bit. You mentioned the possibility of exclusive colours. People have also been asking on my YouTube videos and others like yours, for example, could there be a 2-pickup version? Could there be a single cut version? Could there be more Ferris Blue stuff coming? Can you confirm or deny any of that stuff?
I can't confirm anything because I don't know. I do know that I wrote an email to Harley and said, look, people are interested in a certain thing. And then they said, send me pictures of an example of this certain thing. And I did. And they said, okay, we'll do that. That's a colour, okay? I'll tell you that it's a colour. So it won't be Ferris Blue. It'll be, I guess, the same guitar in a different colour.
Uh-huh.
With regards to being a 2-pickup version, it would have, of course, increased the price. You've got to increase the cost of the routing, which isn't much, I guess, once you program the machine, but it is a cost, in time at the very least. And then you've got the cost of the pickup. So if you, let's say the pickup costs €30. It's another €30 on top. Are people then going to pay €300 or maybe even $350 for that guitar with 2 pickups? And my experience with people who watch videos and request things is that they don't. So they do not spend that extra money. Why would I buy the 2 pickup version when I can get a 1 pickup version for $250? Quite going against what they said in the first place.
But yeah, if those are the people who are asking, for example, for a neck pickup, and those are then the same people who are saying, no, I won't pay €30 more for said neck pickup, why? What's the point?
From their side or from just generally?
I think from any side, from their side, also from a Harley Benton side. From a Harley Benton side, in that sense, it makes no sense to make that guitar.
I can only give my opinion, and it's not based on fact. It's just what I've experienced and what I think. I think if they sold a 2-pickup version, people would complain how much more expensive it was. It's the 1-pickup version is this much, and that one's another €80 for 1 pickup. I think there would be a number of people that would buy it. You're absolutely spot on there. Some of the percentage, I mean, it's just, and you've worked, in sales, and you do work in sales, and of not sales, but you benefit from musical instruments being sold.
Yes, I do.
How many people that say I would love that at the top of the funnel actually buy one at the end? It's a very much smaller number.
Yeah, absolutely.
To put it in my terms, people say, "Oh, please make a video on this Squire or this Boss pedal or whatever," and then you do, and then no one watches it, or no one, relatively speaking. I'm not saying that Harley Benton won't. I actually have no control of that. Of course, I'm just a little guy in a little room, asking a guitar to love him, and I don't know. I think if they did, they'd have to keep the price down. They've got. Let's take Boss, okay? Boss, for example, masters of spending money on research and development, and then releasing a product, and then taking little parts of that product and putting it in something else. Some other companies do it where they release, I don't know, let's say an amp, a big featureful amp, and then take some of those features and put it in something smaller, which is quite common. So the R&D has already been done. You just take those things and you maybe release 3 different versions of it. I don't know. So they've done the shape, they've done the research on the guitar, they've got the cutting machine and all the people that know what they're doing to cut another hole and put another pickup in. Isn't going to take that much more. It's about supply and demand, isn't it?
Mm. It absolutely is.
And then it's a gamble on the part of Harley Benton. So is the supply there? We don't know. Do we really want such a high range of guitars? Such a high level of numbers of these juniors in stock? What I will say is that if Harley Benton were to release, I think about 250 is the magic number, I think they'd sell them.
Yeah.
I think that's very, very simple.
Yeah.
Let me turn it around. What do you think the price should be if it had 2 pickups in it?
Based on what I know of the industry, which is, well, it's actually quite a lot at the moment, based on what I've learned over the past few years, I would say that you could probably build another one of these with another not splittable pickup, a standard P90, for another €20.
I agree.
Thinking about the cost of the routing, the cost of the parts, the wiring, etc. Once you've got the machines all set up, that would be it. Pickups don't cost that much. But it's as you say, would people buy it? That's the most important thing.
I think if they could, let's say, so that's the one at the moment is €250-ish.
Ish, yeah.
As long as they keep it under 300, I think they're fine. So 279 would be fantastic. If they went above 300, they'd be in serious trouble. That's my opinion.
Yeah, and I mean, once you get to 300, you're in big E territory.
Yes, you are.
And there's many other options. When you're down at 250 or whatever this is, in terms of the specifications and what you get bang for buck wise, honestly, I have no affiliation with Andy whatsoever. I can't think of anything else that can compete with that,
No, there are several low budget ones. There's the Vintage brand, for example. Vintage do great guitars. What they don't do is thicker necks and stacked pickups.
They used to do thicker necks. Back when I worked for John Hornby Skews, which does vintage and Fretking guitars, they did. The original Lemon Drops, for example, which I guess you must know, they used to have massive necks on them.
The V100s.
The VS6s as well, which is the SG type. Massive necks.
I had one. Yeah, they are. They're super guitars.
Yeah.
But for some reason that changed. But the Big E Epiphone will not do that style of guitar in that price range. Vintage may, you never know, around that price range. It would take another company, I think, to release something else to fight against that price. And I don't know, as you said, it's bang for buck, and increase the price, you have to increase what's on offer. And I don't know, I mean, I love the fact that it's one pickup. I love limitations. I love the fact that you have to make a creative choice with just two knobs and a pull-out. You know, it's when things start getting too complicated, I think I spend more time programming than playing.
Yeah.
Just want to play rock and roll. Why do you need more than one pickup? You can get a fairly good neck tone out of it by rolling off the tone. You can
indeed. Yeah. Yeah. What more is there to it? I think that is a pretty good place to leave the nerdery about this guitar. I'll leave you with one final question. What is Mr. Harley Benton like, and when will he do a face reveal on your channel?
We've been talking about it for quite a while now, and since Zoom was available, we've been talking mainly on Skype and FaceTime, but now we all use Zoom. He hasn't figured it out yet. It's really frustrating because we actually planned, I sent him the number, I sent him the access code, and then for some reason the camera wouldn't work with Zoom. But to answer what he's like, he's very forward-thinking, very open-minded, very small hands. He looks quite a little bit... Imagine Matthew McConaughey had a cousin who looked a little bit also like Robert Downey Jr. mixed with Daryl Hannah, and then with small hands. That's pretty much what he looks like. And what many people don't know is that he's actually an avid surfer.
Really?
It's weird because Germany is not famous for surf, but that's where he gets most of the ideas.
Or for its coastline, exactly. Yeah.
Exactly. So, I mean, one of the things that's probably coming is the Harley Benton surf machine. You know, the Wave creator. I don't think they've really decided on a name. They haven't consulted me, but I think it's going to sell well. I think Harley's planning on releasing more guitars, maybe in the surf color. It's probably just a marketing exercise.
It undoubtedly is.
Everything's marketing, mate.
At the end of the day, it is. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, I am about to leave to pop my tone knob out. Thank you very much, Andy, for joining us today on the Rich Words Music channel. Everybody, you know Andy already if you've watched my channel, because let's face it, he's much bigger than me in everything in terms of personality, playing skills, YouTube charisma, and ego. But that's it from me for today.
You forgot hair and hair as well.
I was going to say hair, but then I went with ego instead because it's basically the same thing.
Too right. Sorry, I interrupted at the end of your spiel.
Yeah, I was doing my little outro bit. Sub to Andy. Go and check out his videos on the guitar as well. Sub to me as well. That would really make my day. I want to hit those big 100 subs by the end of 2025. I've been Rich from Rich Words Music, and I shall see you in the next video. Bye for now.